Welcome to another episode of Social Network. My name is Amanda Mkhize. Every week we feature the latest CSI news, game changers, organizations, and people who are changing lives. Let's go straight into this week's headlines. Auto electrician moves up the ladder and creates jobs in Mpumalanga. Coca-Cola launches its new sustainability platform in Africa. First for Women partners with Uyinene Foundation in the fight against gender-based violence. For many years, repairing cars has been predominantly known to be a man's job. Alongside her partner, Gabsile Ndlovu established Auto Electrical Solutions Company in Evander, Mpumalanga. They have employed in-house auto electricians who specialize in the installation, repair and maintenance of electronic systems in motor vehicles. The two ladies were supported by the CEDA Technology Program. This program helped them to set up the company's website, acquire advertising boards, understanding of human resource policies, and how to handle accounting systems. Coca-Cola Africa Operating Unit and its bottling partners have launched Jamai, a new Africa-focused sustainability platform that houses the company's existing and new sustainability initiatives. Through this platform, Coca-Cola hopes to attract like-minded partners to help accelerate on-the-ground impact of its initiatives. The platform will build and expand on the past accomplishments in 3 areas: water stewardship, the economic empowerment of women and youth, and waste management. This will be delivered together with the bottling partners, system employees, and several NGO partners. First for Women has partnered with the Uyinene Foundation to keep the pressure on policymakers to ensure accountability and the actual implementation of the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, in a bid to prevent public servant lip service. How can you help? Visit stampoutgpv.co.za and post a virtual postcard to Parliament with why you want delivery on promises made about eradicating GBVF. Let's take a break. When we come back, we chat to the CEO of Libone Printers, Keith Michael, who tells us more about their CSI projects. Welcome back to the Social Network. We chat to the CEO of Libone Printers, Keith Michael, who tells us more about their CSI projects. Libone Printers is a 100% Black-owned organization offering a range of services in production and delivery of high-quality products. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity to interview you, Keith. It's great seeing you again. And can you just briefly tell our viewers who haven't met you before who you are, and we'll take it from there.
Good morning to you, Amanda, and good morning to the viewers. My name is Keith Michael. I'm the CEO of a number of companies, of which Libone Life Printers and Libone Media are part of the group.
Okay, and can you just tell us more about Libone Printers? Who are they? Who are you?
No, thank you. So Libone Life Printers initially started out in about 2000. We started out from a garage, literally working from home. And we've grown the business, I'd like to think, into quite a formidable printing industry and formidable company. We are predominantly in the print sector, Libone Life Printers, and we quite a diverse business in terms of digital printing, life printing. We've now also started a new division called Print Secure, Libone Print Secure, focusing on the elections, paper-based materials. Even though most of the printing companies are migrating into digital platforms, of which we are, but Libone Life Printers have really diversified its business and looking at the complete landscape, what can be offered in this environment.
I like the fact that you are mentioning opportunities. That's all I'm hearing so far in your introduction. Would you like to share a couple of CSI initiatives that you've been busy with throughout the years, or initiatives that you plan on launching sometime this year?
Yes, I think education being fundamental in terms of building a nation. One of the young gentlemen from COSAS has put a demand on the JSE in terms of 1 billion rand that they want them to fund in terms of education. But I always say that 1 billion is not enough to build a nation and to educate a nation. We obviously know government is putting in their contribution, which is quite big. But our core focus has been in terms of our CSI is to look at what do we do in terms of paying bursaries to learners, putting learners through universities, looking at what we term in our industry as the bucket brigade, or SMME development. So let's segment that. In terms of corporate social investment, we have got about 8 different learners at university that we sponsor, from medical doctors to lawyers to accountants, and to some of them are in the marketing industries. We spend at least about 200,000 Rand a month on learners, scholars, educating them. We also look at the ones that are at school. What do we do in terms of winter approaching now? What are the learners having at schools? What are they eating? Are they warm? So those investments we are looking at constantly. We have a dedicated team that looks at that. But also importantly, we need to understand that in order for a learner to be educated, they need stationery. So every year we have a stationery drive where I gather a whole lot of business people, ourselves as Lebone, and we try and raise about 1 million Rand in terms of stationery to offer to all schools, or most schools that are not able to assist children with stationery. We know that without stationery, a learner cannot learn. So that's the education sector. Then we also believe that sports in itself is a big driver in terms of stabilizing communities and getting communities involved. You know, because we see all too often the social illnesses in community, drugs, alcohol, sexual problems, or sexual abuse happening within our environment. What is in the environment? What are in our communities that we can do to enhance and to help children? We sponsor soccer balls, rugby balls. We also involved in 2 cycling teams where we kick them out for the year and we get them involved in community cycling. And we believe that a collaborative approach will really help. So we often look at what causes these social problems. And a lot of that's because there's a lot of youngsters idle. So yes, we look at sport, we look at education, and then obviously health. What are we doing? Lebone has been very pivotal at Lebone Life of Printers in ensuring that all our staff are vaccinated, and that we have had a drive in terms of vaccinations with our staff. So yes, those are the investments we're looking at. And when I call it an investment, it's exactly that. What are we doing to invest in our country? Because government all too often cannot be the driver of changing society. It is society that changes itself, not government. Government enables us to change, but all too often we expect too much from government. And I'm saying, let us stop talking about government and what can we do. So those are the initiatives that we are involved in, Amanda.
I like the fact that you're mentioning that. I like the fact that you're mentioning that government basically cannot do things alone. The private sector needs to step in at some point and assist the government, especially when it comes to CSI projects. Keith, can you just tell us more about the communities specifically that you are addressing?
Yes, so I think most of you would know, I come from Westbury. It is where I sharpened my teeth and honed my skills. When I say honed my skills, as a typical township boy, we tend to have a certain way of lingoing. So we speak in a different way. We tend to behave differently. And those skills ironically helped me in business, how to think differently, how to be smart, street smart. So I do projects in Westbury, where I come from. I do projects in the Eastern Cape. The Eastern Cape, we do in the Butterworth, Lusiki area. We do projects in the Western Cape, also Cape Town. I do have some family members that would call on me, some teachers, communities that would call on me. And I think it's all because of the exposure that we have through these channels that you are hosting and various media outlets where people get to see that Lebone is very pivotal, and myself, in driving certain initiatives. And a lot of them not necessarily is money that they need. A lot of them is, how do they do this? How do they get to do these projects? Whose doors do they tap on to knock onto? Because you and I know that most companies are battling, but I'm saying that is an excuse most of the time. We can afford to give 1,000 rand. We can afford to give 5,000 rand. And some of them are able to do more. Surely we can do more. But yes, those are the projects we're involved in Gauteng, Eastern Cape, Western Cape. We do a lot in the KZN area as well. And a lot of them are with schools, even paper. Basic thing like copy paper. What do we do with copy paper? A lot of schools don't have. So as a printer, we've got a lot of offcuts, and we save that offcuts and we keep it. And every year we will keep giving out those offcuts where grade R learners need it, whether it is a matriculant or a grade 12 teacher that need paper. We are involved in those initiatives. And I say this again, Amanda, short of repeating myself, that corporates must get involved. Companies must get involved. If we look at the insurrection that happened last year, everybody had a knee-jerk reaction to that. But the question remains, what was the driving force behind it? It was simple. It wasn't politics. It was people are hungry. People need jobs. What are we doing to enable government or to help and assist government in that? So yes.
Okay. All right. That was quite insightful in terms of specifically hearing which communities are benefiting from these CSI projects that Lebone is busy with. Sorry, can we just move on to, okay. And then in terms of the importance of the environment and making sure that you recycle all resources that need to be recycled. How important is it for people to know that Lebone is always cautious of the environment?
So there are various initiatives that I do not only in my work environment, but also at home, is to ensure firstly things like taps, toilets, things like that. Water is our next war that we can anticipate happening. If we do not look after our water, it will definitely not be there. You know that water is life. So water recycling within our plants, we do water flashbacks, water washbacks. We take water that comes out of the presses and we get them to scrub the floors with that recycled water. We also look at things like the environment in terms of pollution into the air. The presses, some of our presses have got what we call smoke emissions, and we have what we call an afterburner. Though that smoke is not emitted into the air, so we are conscious of the environment. The other thing is waste. When there's a lot of waste coming through from paper, we recycle that waste and it goes into a recycling plant, and we basically get back a year between 3 and 5 million rands worth of waste. And part of that money goes into staff initiatives, bursaries, stationery. So that money is used from the waste recycling back into communities and back into various initiatives. But I need to also appeal to whoever's watching this. Be conscious of your environment. This is the only planet we've got, and we call it home. There's nowhere to hear from for us. So be conscious of the environment. Let's clean up outside of our gates, our homes. And if you come to Lebone, if you look at the street outside, we've got dedicated people that's employed by the company to just clean the streets and to take out the weed. So when you do come to this environment, you'll often see it's probably the cleanest area in the South Bay area. That's purely because we employ our own people to do what government have shortfalls on doing. I wouldn't say not able to do, but shortfalls on doing.
I like the fact that you mentioning that you employ your own people. That means that you're also addressing unemployment to a large extent, of which is really, really great, given the unemployment rates in South Africa.
Yeah, no, that is, employing people. Sometimes my CFO, which is his job, to make sure that we keep a lean, mean working a machine and to keep a workforce that is able to do what they're employed for. But all too often, I would see the desperation in someone coming in here asking for a job, someone maybe walking past, seeing me, and because I still wear a tie, people would think, obviously, this guy is either a supervisor, manager, or whatever he is, and would ask me for a job, outside, because I do walk a lot outside of our buildings. And I would really take them in, either to do assistant work on machinery, whether it's someone that's able to assist in clerical work, whether it's someone able to assist in even cleaning up the area around us. I would try and do that. So it is fundamental to all CEOs, all private business, all small businesses, to really try and see how do we get people employed? What do we do to get people employed?
Welcome back to the Social Network. Every week we feature a game changer who is on a mission to have a real impact in people's lives. This week's game changer is Clover Mama Africa. We spoke to Felicity, who is a Clover Mama Africa beneficiary. Clover Mama Africa is a sustainable corporate social investment project that has been in existence since 2004. Clover Mama Africas are women who are already making a difference in their communities and want to become self-sustainable.
As Clover Mama Africas, I think each and every one offers something different that makes them really a very special woman. The first thing that makes you very special is for you to take on children that you don't even know, and that you are prepared to give them a home and love and care. I think it is someone very special that can do it. The way that these children start to come to the Mama Africas are mostly the women. My Mama Africas see them on the street, and then they see them coming again, or they see sometimes a little girl of 7 years old looking after a baby boy, and then she starts talking to the girl and she finds out that the parents have passed on from AIDS, and that little girl is taking care of her baby brother, and then she can't let them go, and she invited them to live with her, and then she started to take care of them. Mama Felicity was a youngster. She was a teenage girl when she was working for her aunt, the late Lina Maluleke. And when Lina Maluleke passed on, we have approached Felicity, who at that stage was about 21 years old, if she would not like to carry on with the work. And she immediately wanted to do it because she was very, very young when she did all the little jobs for her aunt. She was always involved. She later on became like her aunt's sort of PA in order to do all the office work and stuff. But she was there when we handed over a stove, when we did a bakery, when we did a food garden. Felicity was always in the background and she was always there. So Felicity just took on everything, slowly but surely. She didn't start doing all the things immediately. She was first very focused on the children in her care, and then with making ordinary food. It's only the last 2 years, 3 years that she really focused went big into cake baking and decoration, and food and food making and food preparations and stuff, and really catering as such. She made me proud. She really excelled and did very well in what she's doing as a Clover Mama Africa.
Hi, my name is Felicity Maluleke. I'm at Clover Mama Africa. Welcome to my bakery. This is where I do the baking. My journey with Clover started in 2003. I took over from my aunt who passed away in 2003, and Clover nominated me to be the next Clover Mama Africa. At then, I didn't understand what's going on with Clover really, but I think a few years down the line, that's where I learned what's Clover all about. It's about empowering women to be sustainable and to help other people in the community. And that's what I'm doing. Right here where we are is it's my bakery, which I was sponsored by Clover Mama Africa, and it enabled me to make income through it. I even learned a lot through it, through the courses that they provide, even the cooking course and the baking course, the cake decors, and I'm able to make an income for that. My life changed a lot because I didn't know I have other skills that they just make me aware of. Like for instance, the sewing. I didn't even think I could even sit in front of a machine. But now I know I know one of the Clover Mama Africa's personnel used to call me perfectionist. But anyway, that's what I do. When I started the bakery at first, it was tough, I don't want to lie. Because I used to bake bread most of the time, and you'll find that the bread is not selling that much because people will want the cheaper bread. They'll tell you things are expensive and whatnot. So I just decided to tell Prof that, you know what, Prof, I think I'm gonna leave the bread and just do the confectionery. And knowing Prof will always listen to whatever you're saying, and she just said, okay, let's go for it. And here's how I'm doing now. I'm doing okay. One thing I'll say about my kids, they sometimes do join me here in the bakery. I teach them how to bake. They can also bake, and they know I shout if ever they don't do something right, because I teach them once and the next time they must do the right thing. And then they'll always say, Mom, when are you always shout at us? You don't tell us the proper way. I'm like, there's no proper way to tell you. You just have to listen and follow the instructions. So I think to them, I'm a role model also, because they're looking up to, they can also bake in the future. Looking at my future going forward, especially now that I registered a catering company, I think I'm going places, because I know now that I can cook a dish without hesitation. You can give me any recipe, I'll just put it down the way it is. And I think in the near future, maybe I'll be one of the cake bosses around the world.
Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our show. For more information about these stories, you can visit www.socialtv.co.za. From me, Amanda Mkhize, till next time.